Hello again, it's DB93.
And there's a lot more to come from that guy in the future. If you like the stuff we do on Peter and Pete, you've got to check him out. It's absolutely brilliant. Link in the description. Oh, dear. Oh, hi. It's still not... Maybe I need to do it in a shed. I don't know. Anyway, today we're going to get very, very scientific, but not until we've got very, very stupid. Please welcome, Allegedly Dave. Oh, Dave, I am so sorry, my friend. That is the worst smell I've ever smelled. What do you think?
I don't know for sure, because I've not been under there.
Oh, you don't want to, mate. You don't want to. Oh, it's getting your way now. Oh, man. How would you describe it?
This is a profound movement. I don't like using the word movement.
No, you're right. This was a movement. Oh, I've not smelled anything like that since you farted when we were having dinner with, what's his name?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, yeah. And his farts, they really stink. I mean, how is it even possible, the smells he makes?
The scientific community have not told us this.
No, you haven't. But the noise that he makes when he does them.
You can hear it. It's a loud jet engine.
Oof. Anyway, the air is starting to clear a bit now. I do owe you an apology, Dave.
What about the people in Australia?
Well, I don't owe them an apology. It wasn't that bad. Although, having said that, you don't happen to have an air freshener strong enough to clear this, do you?
It doesn't exist. It literally doesn't exist.
All right. Dave, you've been doing a lot of research lately, and you found out something very important, haven't you? Would you like to share that with everybody, please?
The Earth is not a perfect circle. It is actually an oblate spheroid. It's squashed.
Who would have thought it? Dave, thank you for coming on. Now time to get a bit more serious. This is going to be the first in a series of videos now where we look at the demonstrations and experiments put forward by conspiracy theorists to see if they really hold any water. The answer is always going to be no. I'm going to start with Antonio Subirats. He seems like a really nice guy. So, Antonio, if you're watching, feel free to make a response. Maybe we can get a bit of dialogue over this. But first of all, let's hear what you had to say.
What we have here today is a very simple experiment. This is not really for flat earthers. This is more for globelings. The experiment I'm about to conduct doesn't actually happen in the real world.
I can confirm that.
For ease of interpretation, we have this bowl and we have a globe.
Okay, and do you have anything else?
Rissler smoking paper. I am not sponsored by Rissler. This is a cigarette paper, and
This is a cup.
this is a Pyrex bowl.
This is a snotty tissue.
And this is a clay turning table.
This is a plug.
And that's some water.
And these are my balls!
Now I'm going to start to spin it. And we're going to start to see whether or not the water rises from that level.
Okay, so joking apart, he's going to spin the turntable and he's going to see the water rise up above the Rizzler paper. And he's going to use that to comment on the behaviour of the water on Earth as the Earth spins.
And I can spin it incredibly fast.
All right, show off.
You can see that the water has centrifugally moved towards the equator. But that doesn't happen in the real world.
Right, so first of all, let's discuss the forces involved when something spins, and then we'll get to Antonio's point. When something is going around in a circle, it does indeed experience a centrifugal force. We see that all the time, on a roundabout, etc., whatever. But for an object that is spinning, not to be thrown off that roundabout or not to be thrown away, there needs to be a force in the opposite direction. We call that the centripetal force. Now, in this instance, the centripetal force that's stopping the water being thrown away is provided by the glass bowl.
Now, the real world does not have a rigid glass atmosphere that we walk around and fly in, okay? It has a gas. The rigid atmosphere is going to make the water, because it can't go out, because it's rigid, it's going to make its way up.
So why does the water rise up the bowl? Well, we've said two forces are at play. As he spins, we have a centrifugal force, which is matched by a centripetal force, and as long as the two are the same size, the water's not going anywhere. But as he spins it faster and faster, that centrifugal force, which is mv squared over r, v being velocity, gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So a bigger centripetal force is needed to keep the water where it is. But the friction between the water and the bowl, it's not strong enough to match that centrifugal force. So what the water does when it moves higher, when it goes up the steeper side of the bowl, and I'm not going to get the whiteboard out and draw complex vector diagrams, but essentially the weight of the water that was acting downwards, as it starts to go up that side of the bowl, a bigger and bigger and bigger proportion of that weight acts towards the centre of the bowl and actually adds to that centripetal force until it matches the centrifugal force. It's very, very similar, in fact exactly the same, to the reason NASCAR tracks slope up to the side like this.
Fans on their feet as the Coke Zero Sugar 400 is underway.
Because the faster that car goes, the more friction is needed to keep it travelling in a circle. But the tyres aren't always capable of providing that friction. So as it goes up that steeper bank, a bigger proportion of the car's weight begins to act in the same direction as a frictional force, helping match that centrifugal force and keep it in a circle.
Centrifugal force is going to force the water out. And because it's not gas, but a solid glass bowl, instead of going out into space, like would happen, it's going to make its way up.
So Antonio is saying that if the Earth was a globe and it was spinning as fast as we said, then the water would just fly off the surface because the atmosphere is made of gas and not glass. If we were to calculate the centrifugal force, even at the equator with the fastest linear speed, we would see that the centrifugal force, mv squared over r, gives us a force of 0.03 newtons on every single kilogram of water. That's the force throwing it off the Earth. We compare that to the gravitational force derived by F equals gm1m2 over r squared, and that gives us 9.8 newtons per kilogram of water holding it to the ground. So the centrifugal force will never overpower the gravitational force. But Antonio has an answer to that. He says that gravity is literally just a theory. It's a bolt-on. It's an ad hoc explanation. Let's see what he says.
Gravity is an ad hoc explanation for the argument that we are on a spinning globe. A strong argument would be weakened by introducing an ad hoc explanation. However, a weak argument will be found to be false very quickly unless it's padded with ad hoc explanations.
Antonio, I couldn't agree more. Ad hoc explanations do ruin an argument. Ad hoc explanations like, we can't fully explain how the water stays on a flat earth, so there must be an ice wall that we can't see. I can't explain how without gravity the atmosphere stays around the earth, so there must be a dome that we can't see. Or the earth must be accelerating upwards, which would even now be putting us travelling faster at the speed of light. Or ad hoc explanations like, there must be a huge government conspiracy to back up what I've just seen with my P900. Please explain what those ad hoc explanations are. I'm really, really willing to listen, because this isn't about is the earth flat or not. It really isn't. It's about, are the scientific demonstrations we're using valid or not? Now, give me a response and I will talk to you about the valid experiments that show gravity does exist. How's that for an offer?
So, this doesn't happen in the real world, does it?
Yeah, I know, we've just done that bit, but no, it doesn't.
But the real world does have water, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But this doesn't happen in the real world, does it?
What, you just said that?
But the real world does have water, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Then who said the world was spinning?
I did!
And why did they say the world was spinning?
I was taking the piss.
Couldn't they just test this?
Well, I could, but why?
You see, if you test this, you arrive at the conclusion, well, we're not spinning.
Whee! I'm spinning. So, a slightly shorter than normal video today, but my closing point is essentially that I am seeing more and more and more lately people coming up with demonstrations like Peter and Pete, Antonio, Dell, etc. And these demonstrations really don't fit the purpose that they're trying to serve. And, you know, I think it's just important to really look and make them see that if they understood the actual science behind it, if they actually understood what the demonstration was really showing, that they may see that that actually fits with what they observe around them. And they would have to use less ad hoc explanations themselves then to explain what they see, the objective realities I keep hearing it. I will be back, and I will be back with the chat box travels I keep promising you, where I praise all you for the good stuff you've been doing. Thank you very much. Just one final word. What did you think of that, pal?
I'm ignorant, literally, I don't know.